Order, it is 3:03. Could I get a motion to let Miss Pastusha in, please? Thank you, Miss Blair, and thank you, Miss Bryan, on the second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, Kate, you're in. Welcome. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes of November 30th? Thank you, Mr. Renaud. Thank you, Mr. Salzer.
Thank you.
Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. And then we'll mark that as unanimous. I'm going to move quickly through the items today because we do have a couple items not posted for executive session. So for those of you that were planning on a short agenda, we just extended it a little bit. So I will go to number 3 under informational items. Ask Mr. Sorrell for an update.
Mr. Chairman, happy to answer any questions. The only thing I would like to share with the committee is this will probably, until you approve another loan, this will be the last time you see the monthly CDAP gap loan report on the agenda because if you recall, last month we had Hair Racing wanting us to subordinate our position as they were refinancing their private sector debt. They chose to roll our outstanding balance into that refinancing, and they have been paid in full. So we are servicing no loans at this point in time.
Well, I seemingly am grinning behind my mask here only because somebody has asked me about access to our capital loan department. So the bucket just got bigger. But thank you for the updates. Any comments from Mr. Ricker?
Maybe under that topic, I'll make a comment, not for an action item, but now we have the funds back into our loan, our reserve to use. I guess I'm asking maybe openly as to how do we use this creatively, effectively to spur economic growth and development, which I know we have one member here that's into that, and maybe there's not an answer today, but us sitting on the money doesn't help anybody. But also at the same time, I'm not looking to put the funds out to help someone who doesn't need it or it really doesn't grow the economic piece. I'm probably not saying it very succinctly, but that's my point.
You are Mr. Ricker, and I'll let Dr. Blair give a little bit of response, but I'll tee her up by saying that in your rules you do have, and you've populated an advisory committee that reports to this committee that Dr. Blair chairs that is looking at that exact question. That group has met, I think, twice. Their regular meeting is the morning of County Board Day, typically, and they have a work plan and agenda that they are working through, and they get probably appropriate times where there's work product to bring back to you from a report back informational perspective or action items perspective on policy. We'll be bringing those forward. I don't know, Eden, if you want to add anything to that.
There's not much to add, but we are working on coming up with a recommendation on how best to support small businesses and entrepreneurs using these funds as well as others. And of course, this board will make any decisions as to how monies are spent, but we will make a recommendation. We are having a working meeting in January, really trying to figure out exactly how we think this might work the best. So I agree with you that I don't want us sitting on $8 million and not spending it when we could be leveraging the talent and innovation of our community. Yeah, I don't plan to spend all $8 million next month. Just to be clear.
Yeah, I look forward to additional update when appropriate, because to me that's one of the roles that we should be playing as a county, especially when we have these funds, is to how do we improve economic growth in the right manner and make it available to be effective. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Mr. Ricker. Thank you, Dr. Blair. Any other comments on the informational items? All right, Jenny? I think I see item 4 must be a legal request.
It's the recommendation of the state's attorney's office that previously held minutes continue to be held because the need for confidentiality still exists, and to destroy executive session audio recordings that are more than 2 years old, except for those that relate to pending litigation.
Excellent. Can I get a motion to approve, please? Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Thank you, Mr. Renault. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, same sign. I just want to check the phone. Ms. Pastusha, can you hear us?
Sorry, I'm an I.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let me do this once again in the order they appear in our packets so I don't miss one. Mr. Salzer, Infrastructure.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. We had two resolutions, and both of them had to do with hiring engineering firms. And the first one is a welcome project, many people feel, but because it's a heavily traveled road, and it's the Cedar Hills Drive area off Route 40 there. And our highway department was explaining how terrible the shoulders were and how the heavy traffic, of course, deteriorates the surface and so forth. And so they have hired, they recommend that we hire this engineering firm, Herman, to head up this phase 2 of this project. And we will be using them by way of, we'll be paying for this by way of the motor fuel tax, and they hope to, of course, with good weather, get this entire project done, resurfaced and so forth, probably towards the end of next summer. They say this is one of the, like I said, heavily traveled road. I think they said 3,500 vehicles travel this, and they said they do a lot of patching throughout the time on this, and so everybody is hoping that this project, of course, gets finished. I think Mr. Alcester, I talked to him about it a little bit. It's in his district. The other engineering firm that we hired, and the highway department is hurting, of course, for expertise and so forth. And this firm is Millennium, which we have used before, the Out of Morton, and they're going to cover this entire time that this. I started to say dog. Is it? I wanted to say dog patch, but dog town. I call it dog patch. I think maybe to somebody, and they said, "Wait a minute, dog patch. Where's that?" And I said, "It's out by Elmwood." They said, "No, that's dog town." And I said, "Okay, dog town. Is there any difference?" I don't know. Maybe to the people that live out there. But anyway, this is going to come out of the engineering cost is going to come out of Rebuild Illinois funds, and of course this is a state project, and we are involved. I should say the state did the bidding on this, and they awarded that bid to Stark, and the 20% that we're going to submit for the payment of this is going to come out of our county board bridge fund, and the other 80% will come by way of the federal government. So we're hope that this project is successful, and we'll get going on it, they say, as soon as the weather breaks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Salzer. Mr. Dillon?
It was pointed out in yesterday's committee, too, Chairman, that Herman and Associates is a 100% certified, state certified WBE, and Millennia is state certified MBE and DBE engineering firm. So just wanted to point those both out, that they are both state certified. So one
Nice.
owned firm and a minority owned firm.
Thank you. Any other comment? Whose district is this in? Is it Mr.? Was it always in Bryan's, or it's just used to be? I've put on a list of my things to do when I am bored. Is I want to go find Dogtown Lane Bridge. I want to go find said bridge. It seems
That's
like
out, no, Dogtown is out in the Elmwood area.
well, I'm going to go find it because I don't know where it is, and it seems
Not
like
dog
something.
past Dogtown.
Understood. Understood. All right. I'll move to the Ways and Means Committee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
We had a joint resolution, the Election Commission Budget Amendment. It's joint with the Finance, Audit, and Legislative Affairs Committee. And that was to make an amendment to our capital budget for the Elections Commission to purchase new election equipment. I think most people heard about that, so I will not go back into detail. That was passed unanimously. And then we had the regular monthly delinquent taxes resolution. There was one property on it this month, and that passed unanimously. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Ricker? Seeing that there are none, I will move to Mr. Dillon.
So we had 7 zoning cases. The first 3 are all Airbnbs, all out in the same area, River Beach Road area. They passed unanimously out of the ZBA and then unanimously out of committee yesterday. The owners and their attorney were present. There was no objectors present. So the next is we had a petition of Randy Coors, and that was to take a property that he bought on 29, the old Club 29, and divide that, so that he can, it was a commercial property, and rezone it back into residential, eventually with building. There's a house on it now, and eventually turn a buildable lot back for a house on that. So that was approved, and then the last 3, they're all in Mr. Elsasser's district. The petition of Four Creeks LLC, Miss Kelly O'Brien with Connect Gen was here, and Kyle Berry, the attorney, were here. And those are Met towers that are being placed out in the Princeville, Laura, Brimfield area for these Met towers. Basically a truck, trailer pulls in, under 200 foot tall, but they have wind instrument monitors, and they'll be out there from anywhere from over a year to 3 years, monitoring wind conditions for a possible wind farm that would maybe locate out there. But that, if all the instruments come back, you're looking at 5 years probably down the road before we would have hearings or anything else in that thing. But it's a study. They'll be out there. So they have been in contact with, she's been here meeting with local people, the Farm Bureau, and some other people. So a process has started. I know we approved another one in the past, and that one was in Trivoli area, I think, Scott. So this is one out there. So, and if you'd ever heard before, you'd always heard, because if you go to, like, when you drive anywhere from Peoria, you see the wind towers all around here, saying that Peoria never was in that sweet spot for wind. Technology has drastically changed in wind towers and wind tower technology. So that is why they're doing the study.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. Any questions for the chair? Thank you. Seeing none. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had 2 resolutions. The first one was for the Peoria City County landfill budget for FY22. That was approved unanimously. The second one was the renovate or replace the health department and Gift Avenue complex policy decision. We had a lengthy discussion with Scott and River City Construction in Farnsworth. For their recommendation was to replace the facility, and they looked at different areas. They looked at the current services that we provide. They did a needs assessment and a building assessment, and then a construction cost summary. And with all that, then they recommended replacement, and the committee voted unanimously to concur with their recommendations.
Excellent work. Thank you. Any questions or comments for the chairperson of health? All right, Mr. Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had 3 resolutions. FY 2021 appropriation of additional grant funds awarded to the Child Advocacy Center, and that my rough figures was about $21,004 that they were going to get. The second one was for the 2021-2020 through the 2023 ICJIA Domestic Violence Grant. That was a grant that we usually get yearly with the state. The state decided to extend one of the years, so it'd make it a 2-year grant. It'd be $125,000, 93,600 and something goes to family justice, and the 31,380 roughly the Family Violence Prevention Project. And the third one was a Juvenile Detention Center Medical Service Contract Budget Amendment. And Scott, I'm going to let you take that because my mind just went blank on it.
So the third resolution for you, Mr. Rosenbaum. You earlier, or in 2021, late 2021, you awarded a medical contract with JDC. While they negotiated the final scope in terms of that, it came in, I believe it was $57,000 more than what they had put into their budget request, which was made before the bids came back, and so that just merely amends that, so they've got money in their 22 budget to pay for that contract.
Thank
That's
you. Mr. Rosenbaum,
Pardon?
did you have a comment?
No, I was just saying that's all that we had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for the chair? Seeing none, I will move on to Mr. Renault.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had 4 resolutions. It was kind of a PCAPS day for us. The first 2 resolutions were accepting grants that Becky had solicited. The first is a $28,000 grant from Best Friends Animal Society, and that's going to be used to upgrade some dog kennels. The second is from the Bissell Pet Foundation, and that's a $5,000 grant that she's going to use to offset some costs for the spay and neuter program that we offer for pay-as-you-can spay and neuters. And I just want to say, we commend Becky a lot, and it's one thing to solicit and be a go-getter to get these grants, but I think it speaks highly of the work that Becky and her staff does to actually be awarded the grants. So to me, it's 2 positives: one, that she's soliciting the grants, and 2, that we're actually getting awarded the grants. The third resolution is an extension of our contract with the Peoria Veterinary Medical Association, who we contract to do our spay neutering and the work procedures that need to be done on the animals. In that contract extension, costs did go up, so therefore we needed the 4th resolution, and that was additional appropriation of PCAP funds coming from her fund balance. And all of those passed unanimously. And finally, under miscellaneous, Linda had asked that we give an update on a project that she and Angela and Shauna have been working on, and that is including memos to our employees that kind of itemize out the total compensation that we provide in a year. So that includes pay, overtime, employee share of insurance, just to kind of give our employees an idea of the investment that we have in them. And those should go out in the next month or so, I believe. So I want to thank them for all the work that they're doing on that. That's all.
Thank you. Any questions for the chair? I echo your applause for our director. Thank you. Mr. Fennell?
We had 3 resolutions. I guess I can't move my mic. I got to move my body. We had 3 resolutions. The first one was the one that Mr. Ricker spoke of with the Election Commission budget amendment, appropriations for equipment for their office. The second one was an extension of a contract for consulting services with Mr. Matt Cook. And the third one was a transfer from county staff, resignation from the auditor's office, and we put it into a couple different areas, and that was coming to pay those fees that we'd already talked about. So those were my actions.
Thank you very much. Since most of us were here, are there any questions for the chair? All right. Kate, are you still with us? You're on mute, Miss Bastuccia. I'm guessing. Are you still with us?
Hi, yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Any miscellaneous items? I want to check with council on one item here before we go into executive session. Just getting some clarity on whether or not we could have a phone call into executive session. The answer is no. We will fill Kate in on the details one-on-one. So, seeing no other miscellaneous items, although I really haven't looked very hard, could I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss litigation? Thank you, Mr. Fennel. Was you, Mr. Rosenbaum, on the second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will stop using our mics and convene in 2 minutes.